Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. So now we are having the Venice Biennale 2021 webinar number 5. Yeah, and joining us today we have two exhibit groups, including exhibit 9 and 12. So on the screen you are seeing the PowerPoint actually prepared by Rachel, who forms the group On Earth Art Project, and together with HSBC as well as Hong Kong Youth Sustainability Policy Lab, they are creating a very special exhibits. And then besides, we also have the designers, the architects, and the creators for exhibit 12, which is composed of 4 main groups, including Ivan, Cheung, Vincci, as well as Tony, and they will be elaborating the design concept with us one after the other. Yeah, so the first section of today's webinar will very much about the design concept of the exhibit. So how does it relate to the theme of redistribution? Yeah, and first of all, we would like to have Rachel to talk about the exhibit first. So Rachel, over to you. Good afternoon, Rachel.
Okay, thank you. So hello everyone, I'm Rachel Cheung. So our exhibit is named Rediscovering Rural Sustainability. So our exhibit, we are exhibit 9.
Mm-hmm. Rachel, is it possible to speak a bit louder?
Oh, sure. Is it better now?
Much better.
Okay,
Yeah,
sorry about that. So this exhibit is created by a group of 4 artists. We founded the On Earth Art Project, so I'm one of them. And we work in the village of Lai Chi Wo. It's a Hakka village from early 2019. So to us, the area and the village is a piece of unique land for us to get inspiration from. So we use art and creative in response to this rural land. So in order to looking for sustainability. So in the small picture, you can see the 4 of us. So me on the left, and then Wallace, and Dexter, and also Suzanne. And then on the right-hand side, you can see our exhibit. So a group of 4 columns. And the mediums varied a lot. So it's from organic soil, plants, ceramics, and also glass and things like that. So you will know more detail in the coming slides. So let's talk about the first column is made by Wallace, Yu Zhenhua. So we have subtitles for our works. So this one is called Lost Village. The medium is basically the soil from Hengchunya. So it's one of the village, maybe it's the area in Lai Chi Wo. It composed of 7 villages there. So, and then other material is the cement. So we kind of man-made materials. Those villages is like a mutual aid alliance, and then they work with each other, and they take care of each other over the area. But we can still see some remains there when we walk through those villages. And we can see different characters there, although there are only some remains or, all houses. So Wallace, he collected the soil, different soils from these 7 villages. And then you can see it in the larger photos on the right side. So in the middle part, it consists of the soil from the 7 villages. And then on the top part and the under part, those are 2 blocks of cement. Here demonstrates that the villages endeavor, a lot to revitalize their villages, and to how to cope with urban. Okay. So the next one, am I talking too fast or?
No, it's all right, Rachel.
Okay, sure. So let's continue. So another piece, so it's on the left-hand, second left-hand side, is by Destiny. The title is called Filtration of the Earth. So there are more materials in this work. There are soil, sand, hay, rock, pottery, tiles, and glass mainly from Lai Chi Wo area. And of course, the outside boxes are made by acrylic and some stainless steel sheets in there. So Dexter is using the concept of filtration to kind of to divide the materials that he found from the area, and then as you can see from the bigger picture, you can see some kind of sieve, the grip thing. So it's representing the filtration process. So over different times, the land accumulates different substance and things that all those are related to the old stories of the villages and the village. So for us to work there, we continue to research on things like that. And that's the thing that the filtration process is very important for us to, understand this village of, 300 years old village and its culture and its history. All right. So another column belongs to Suzanne Au. The title is called Emptiness Air. So this one is more conceptual as compared to the previous two ones, because you have to feel the air, feel the emptiness in this work. So Suzanne thinks that all matters on Earth encompass biological spectrum of nature, human, and universe elements. So come to here, you can feel the empty, the air, the conceptualness here. So, but all these things are connected to us. So there are a lot of symbolic relationship here. And then maybe let's go to the last sentence. So Suzanne thinks that the urbanization brings about the change in thoughts and life. Fields and soil becomes the canvas to shape the future of Hong Kong. The land, people, and our environment composure conveying the dynamic value of rural creation and sustainable practice to local and global community. So we are working at a small area, but we are thinking a bigger area as a whole. All right. So this last piece belongs to me, to mine. So I'm Rachel. The subtitle is called See the Unseen, Land of Goodness. So it's kind of self-explanatory in the title here. So okay. So I mainly use ceramics and glass for this piece. I think all kinds of life, including human beings, are raised and nurtured by the land. So when people gather to live in one place, the history and the culture are gradually developed there, and then forming a unique, very unique features and characteristics, which are different from other places. So every place is unique. So whether a piece of land can be sustainable or not, over time, it all depends on how we, how each generation, treats that area and what's their direction is for their life. Okay, so that's all for our exhibits.
Yeah, Rachel, I do have a question. Would you please show us the first slide?
All right,
again?
Sure. This one?
Yeah, this first slide with all the 4 exhibits. Yeah, a very strong sort of impression that I've got is that all the exhibits are multi-layered.
Yeah.
Multi-layered. Is it a consensus among the 4 artists?
Oh, yes. Actually, at the very beginning, when we are thinking of a good concept, a holistic concept for 4 of us to create something, we were thinking about it. So you can imagine these 4 pieces. Let's see if you put it underneath the earth, and now it's kind of how do you call that? Dig them out from the earth, and then it's kind of those columns raising up. So we have something in mind at the very beginning. So, and then after a while, we come up with these 4 columns to explain, to explain our concept.
Yeah, and for the arrangement of the layers, it seems that there's also a very special consideration because when I introduced your works to the visitors in hotel Hotel Lina, I see the very interesting sort of gradation or the spectrum of how nature and culture, how the natural environment and human beings interact and work together. Yeah, is this something that you guys hope to convey?
Yeah, so actually, just now you asked about the sequence of our work. So that's why from the left-hand side is Wallace's work. It's more about the history, the local area, and then as well as Dexter's. So but then it explores more, the foundings from nowadays.
Ceramics, glass, sand, etc.
And then just expose it to the viewers. And then for Suzanne's, the third piece, so you can see that there are less materials. So you can look at the base part. They are the agriculture products, produce from lychee wall. So there are at least four kinds of things. You can smell them. They have different smells. So so whenever you go to lychee wall, you can feel the air. At each different spot, you can feel differently. And and then all these some people may think that they are only just usual elements, so it's no big deal. But then to us, to Suzanne, they are very very important elements for us, for people, for human beings. So and then for Suzanne's is more now for the present days, expressing the present date. For my piece, I talk about the history, so you can see there are different colors. So at the very base part is the whitest, and then when it goes up to the top is the darkest clay. So to me, I think it's like so. Let's say the lowest part is more deep down in the earth. But the brown ones are more close to to our feet. So to me, I think the white color can represent the purest. So the oldest is the purest thing to me. So that's why I use the pure color for the for expressing my feeling to to the history, to the old cultures. So and then at the top you can see two blocks of heavy blocks of brown or dark brown trees, and then you can see some transparent glass trees. So I try to bring up a contrast elements here. So so to let you, whether you see the future or you're not seeing the future, whether it's good or whether it's bad, it all depends on you. It depends on the viewer's hand, or depends on our hands.
Thank you so much, Rachel. Yeah.
Thank you.
One very important thing that I forgot to announce is that for the project, do you have contributed? Of course, the project that is led by Anna Yao's team. Lychee Wall site has actually won the very special inauguratory award of the Sustainable Development of the Asia Pacific UNESCO Cultural Heritage Conservation. Yeah, so congratulations, Anna and Rachel. Yeah, and of course, Anna will talk about more about sustainability in the second half of today's webinar. Sure. Yeah. Okay, so thanks, Rachel.
Thank you.
So next, after Exhibit 9, we will have the group of 4 contributing to the Exhibit 12. And among the 4 of them, the first one will be Ivan from Hong Kong U Landscape Division, to talk about his exhibit. Ivan, over to you. Would you please share with us your screen?
Sure, thanks. Thanks, Ka-Sing. Actually, I'm going to do 2 things. First, I'm going to just briefly introduce the entire group of 4, and then I'll talk about our own piece of that larger project.
Sure.
Got the wrong slide up though. Okay. So our collective group, together with everyone, is titled "Extending the City," and we are 4 groups collectively. Each of our projects is imagining ways to alter and adapt, to renew or extend the fabric of the city in some way, to engage with each other, with people, with community, or with the environment more productively. That's sort of the concept that binds all of our pieces together. Each project in the quartet examines these extensions of the city at different scales. So one group is working at the scale of the dwelling unit, one at the scale of the kind of building facade, the skin of the building, and then up to the streetscape, and then finally to the block and the larger network of landscape and territory. And so, and I'll let each group introduce themselves as they present. I'm going to present my group's work. Our project within this quartet is called is called Altered Estates, Common Grounds. And I'm presenting on behalf of myself, Ivan Valin, Natalia Echeverri, who we together are with HKU's Division of Landscape Architecture, and also David Erdman, Hart Marlowe, and Sandra Nataf, Kenneth Mack, and others at Pratt. Pratt Institute Graduate Architecture and Urban Design Program. So all of us together have put this project together. And then our project really contains multiple pieces. Our focus is on public housing, which, as people in Hong Kong know, is a very extensive public resource in Hong Kong. And our goal is to address issues of land scarcity and lack of ecological productivity through the our different ideas. The project describes a series of nested strategies, basically, from both architectural, landscape, and also urban design. And this first slide is really about the building, about extending the living capacity and environmental performance of the housing blocks themselves, adding more units, building on the structure that's there. And then we turn to the estate itself and look at ways of extending the ground, increasing the viability of nature and open space at the ground, improve water retention capacity and habitat connections at the edge and the surrounding territory. And so all of these things can sort of make our project. For us, this idea of redistribution is actually problematic and maybe is one of the sort of root problems of many of Hong Kong's environmental challenges and disconnections. From our group's point of view, it's not about remaking. Landscape and architecture can be grown, can be extended, can be cultured. And so I guess our response to this idea of redistribution is that sort of we must not think about the configuration of the city as something that is remade or something that's done over and over again by architects and planners and designers, but that really configuring the city is about a kind of process. And that process includes not only us, but other communities and governments that actually maybe aren't at the table for these sorts of sort of biennales and exhibits and things like that. And so our proposal ultimately tries to ask, how can we work on the everyday, the invisible infrastructures, the regular architecture, the public housing units, to find ways to make them healthier, make them more multifunctional, more regenerative, more productive, and something that community can invest in. That's my group. I'll pass the torch off to Sean.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much. So hopefully you can see my screen.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can see my screen.
Yep.
So my name's Cheung from Make Architects, and part of our team was Christine Maggs from Belfast University, and Bill Watts from Max Fordham Sustainable Engineers based in London. And I suppose we approached it by things that we love about Hong Kong, but things that we know everybody suffer, which is that you've got a very densely populated city, which is congested, polluted, noisy, and gets very hot. And with all the tarmac and all the concrete, it gets hotter through the day. And so our idea is that, and also the other key element is, as architects, we have a massive responsibility because our buildings, our structures, generates 35 to 45% of the world's CO2 is associated with the construction industry, from when you build it, when you live in it, and when you demolish it at the end. So as a group, we have to take this very, very seriously. And I suppose what we envisaged was the idea, is there a new way of building where we grow buildings rather than build buildings and fabricate them, is the way that we can manipulate nature and actually grow buildings, grow structures. And so our thought, working with the biologists in Belfast, was the idea of taking the Chinese banyan tree growing that structure through aeroponics, so as it grows, it captures the CO2, it releases oxygen as well. And the idea, these structures that we grow carry on living. They never die. They carry on living. And we can then, with the Chinese banyan tree in particular, is a way that it can graft and it can merge and it can form together. We can then build these modular structures. So our thought was to take out the clutter of our streets, to bring in our grown structures, which take traffic lights and street lights and signage. But again, they're living structures that are growing within our streets, that shades the sun, that filters the air, that attracts biodiversity and insects and birds, and also is seasonal as well, so you can enjoy the seasons. And then the idea by that is you've reclaimed the streets back for people, back where they're quieter, they're cooler, they're cleaner, bringing nature back into the city. So rather than a street be something that you just go from A to B, it becomes places to really enjoy and celebrate. And then it's all about promoting well-being. If you've got a quieter, a cleaner, cooler street, people open their windows, they'll turn their air conditioning off, which again helps to humanize the streets. And it then becomes this incredible opportunity of greening and reclaiming the streets back for people. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sean. Yeah, so after Sean, we will have Tony. Hi, Tony, you may need to unmute yourself.
Okay, so I'm Tony Yip. And another team is Chen. We want to propose is that the demand for a peaceful and natural environment in urban area has increased, and people's desire for naturalness and green environment where they can stay, chat, and otherwise socialize with their family, friends, and neighbors. And these are the backgrounds to support various green building schemes, even the green building rating system on advocating urban greenery and human nature interactions. So what kinds of naturalness and human nature interaction should we advocate, especially for urban living? The higher we live from the ground and the more disconnected we feel from the natural environment and the community. Compared with people living away from the metropolitan area, urban dwellers lack personal and open space and may seek room to escape from hustle and bustle of the city. And there's a lack of outdoor space at high levels to daily life and healthy developments of urban dwellers in high-density, high-rise environments. And those are the backgrounds. So can we redistribute the green outdoor space at high levels, even for our daily life? So these are the imaginative concepts. Here we propose 6 of the highest, densest, and greenest sky gardens to exemplify the different types of the human nature interactions we can propose for our daily life. So we propose 6 imaginative proposals on the balcony, which is linked to the living units. There are different types of the amenity facilities and interactions with the nature, hope to involving the daily life with the outdoor activities and make more connection with the nature, even we are living in at very high levels. And we hope that this imaginative proposal and also linked to the current building regime. So we specify the different practice nooks and the building regulation, how to link it, those imaginative proposals, and hope to reimagine the concept that even we living in a higher level, we still can be better connected to the natural environment and have the better and healthy urban living life. So this is all my presentation.
Yeah, it's very alluring. I would love to have a balcony as such and try to hang on one of this extended canopy. So thanks, Tony. And now we have Vincci. Vincci also from the Division of Landscape Architecture of Hong Kong U. Yeah, what we see today is that all the exhibits are really related to the nature and how can we live with nature in a better manner. So Vincci, hand over to you now.
Okay, hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Vincci. As Ivan introduced us, we are part of the team in the Extending the City exhibits. And for the upcoming few minutes, I'm sharing with you how we created the exhibit Landscape Spectacle. Besides myself, I'm also working with Gary Wong from Hong Kong U Department of Sociology on this piece of work. And myself is from Hong Kong U Division of Landscape Architecture. The image you're seeing here is from Wah Fu Estate. So again, similar to Ivan, we're also interested in public housing and more specifically in Wah Fu Estate. And this, well, I guess we're interested in it because of this modern architecture there, and also the fact that we hear on the news that perhaps Wah Fu Estate will be redeveloped. The buildings you're seeing here in the image, perhaps they may be demolished and new public housing blocks will be constructed later on. And so what we find interesting is not perhaps just the building blocks, just the living units, but what we have been working with Hong Kong U Sociology, especially with Gary, is to look at how people actually engage in the open spaces. How the open spaces have become part of the daily life, everyday life of the residents of Wah Fu Estate. And so when we did the field work, combining our understanding of architecture and landscape, we realized that, well, first we found out the twin tower block typology is one of them, is first being applied in Wah Fu Estate. And that's why we find it very interesting. And the image you're seeing here is actually when you visit the twin tower block. One of the blocks, there are always two. That's why it's twin tower block. When you look up from the light well on the ground floor level, this is how you connect to the sky, to the environment. And so we find this having a very strong visual impact. And so we wonder if this can be an inspiration for us to create an exhibit for the Biennale. And so the concept, developed, changed, modified many times. The image you see here, hopefully you understand a little bit more of how there are two rectangles, symbolizing or referencing the shape of the twin tower block being interlocked. And then we try to see if there's anything we can create sort of, at the end of this visual space. And combining our understanding of the surrounding landscape in the Wah Fu Estate. All these photographs are actually taken in Wah Fu Estate. It has many different species of plants, and also the sort of rock formation nearby at the coastal area. So we realized that Wah Fu Estate actually has a very strong landscape component, and how all these can be integrating or have been integrating with the everyday life of the residents become something that we want to explore and perhaps to reveal, to share with them visitors to the Biennale exhibition. So at the end, we decided to create this, we call it the landscape spectacle. And what we actually have done is sorry to backtrack a little bit. Out of all these beautiful vegetation and landscape elements in Wah Fu, we picked the candle nut tree, which is the image in the middle, right in the middle here, which is a type of, which is a species that is often being planted in the early public housing estates in Hong Kong. And we took that image and literally created this installation by putting the image at the back. And then we try to use reflective surfaces on the edges to reflect, to augment, to expand. The right side image is what you will see when hopefully we will be able to do a physical exhibition, and if pandemic situation allows, visitors can really physically see the work. So that on the right side is what you may see in person. And then on the left side is when the person, the viewer is moving closer or further away from the exhibit installation, you will see the image of the landscape being augmented, expanded at different ways, different angles. So in that sense, I hope it kind of echoes back to Ka-Sing's earlier introduction when you talk about how different elements in our environment can be redistributed. So this is of course very conceptual way of imagining how things can be redistributed.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Vincci. I do have a question for all of you. For all the four of you contributing to exhibit 12, right? 12 or 9? 12. Yeah. So how do you, how do you come into the consensus of having the extended city as the theme for your exhibits? Because I see that there are many people involved in this specific exhibit composed of 4. So how has this theme been sort of reached?
I think early on when we were sort of coming together as a group, and I think that was one of the things that the curators was sort of built into this process, is that we didn't know each other necessarily before joining this group. So I think we were looking at our proposals and sort of finding that common ground, and really it was around nature, right? It was around this idea of rethinking how nature exists in the city. And then I think in many ways we were not redesigning new stuff, but working with what was there, right? We were rebuilding, we were innovating through reconfiguring things that were already there, whether it's the idea of the street tree, the idea of the facade, the idea of a water drainage system. These were not new impositions on the city. These are coming from within the city, within the fabric itself.
Understood. And Sean, do you find it difficult to work with this Hong Kong and also Hong Kong teachers and Hong Kong practitioners?
No, I think worldwide, I think everybody's realizing at last the importance of sustainability, the importance of CO2, but also how important in many different levels that landscape and greenery can bring to one's lives. And I think so together, you're right, Ivan's right, together we all had this dream that we all wanted more green, we wanted more landscape, more planting, more access to landscape to improve our cities, and Hong Kong is no different.
Yeah. So Tony, I'm aware that you are working on green architecture, and you have created some diagrams to respond to the second part of today's webinar on sustainability. Do you want to show them to us now?
Oh yes, sure. So I have 2 diagrams to respond. What is the new definition of sustainability? And actually, you see here the traditional, what we call the 3 pillars of sustainability, or 3 overlapping concept is the environment, economy, and society are 3 individual pillars. So the sustainability just in between what they merge together, the central part. But as you all experience what we are having right now, the COVID-19 situation, without the environment, without the healthy living environment, even for the climate change, the global warming, without the environment, we can't afford to have the healthy society or the normal society to run the normal economy. So right now, the shifting of the paradigm is from the 3 pillars to the what we call the 3 nested sustainability concept. We should take more concern about our environment at the first thing. And then we have the society and the economy to support the society. So that is a very important. And how can we exemplify this concept? And this diagram just related to what my exhibit, the behind philosophy. And the human-nature interaction, even in the urban living space, is very important. So here, I would like to advocate in a very wide spectrum, for the human-nature interactions should ranging from the anthropocentric to non-anthropocentric, according to different forms, status, and situation of nature and human activities. So there involve direct, indirect human-nature interaction to facilitate the co-evolution of human and biotic community, even within the urban city. So there are 3 layers. Design for human, utilize the nature for benefit of humans. What we are doing right now, we have in the greenery to help us for the psychological or physiological aspects, or the social aspect with on the community level, even for the environmental aspect, to mitigate the urban heat island effect or the microclimate for the thermal comfort. All this, the nature, just for design for human. But we should incorporate more in between the design for human with nature, so not the urban dweller to appreciate the existence of the nature or the biotic community for the non-instrumental and intrinsic value. The nature is not for human consumption. And the influence of human behavior attitude to protect the biotic community for intrinsic value. So that is very important to have more get in touch with the nature on our daily life. And ultimately, the 3rd level is more important than only design for nature, which involve the ecological responsible built environment harmless to the biotic community. For example, our curtain wall design, the glazing should be more biotic friendly, bird friendly, or we have more like the brown roof, biodiverse roof instead of just the green roof. So that is can achieve the regenerative for the biotic community, regenerative built environment beneficial to the biotic community. So that is the ultimate level. Even within the urban district, we should develop not just the development for human or urban development, but also can regenerative environment for the nature ecosystem. So these are what I'm thinking the new approach on the sustainability concept.
Yep, anything to add from this group? Vincci, Ivan, and Sean?
Absolutely. I think the idea that to appreciate nature, I think, and also I think, with the pandemic, in some respects, one of the good things is that people have traveled less, which means they're enjoying where they live and work more than they probably did before. There's less planes in the ground, there's less pollution, so the air feels cleaner, people are enjoying the fresh air. Also, it improves with a bit of social distancing. But I think it is, people are appreciating what Hong Kong can offer, what their city can offer. And I'm hoping that they will demand more, to have more access, to have more green, to have more social responsible, just as Tony was saying, development for the cities. Because, as you say, it's so closely linked to our health and our well-being.
Yeah, exactly. So corresponding to this, of course, we have Anna here. Anna is going to introduce the Lychee Wall project. So hoping that it can respond to the question for today's webinar, any new definition for sustainability. Yeah, so Anna, again, congratulations to your successful project. So it's now your show time to present to us your presentation.
Okay, thank you. Let me show my slide. So just a recap of the new interpretations of the project. I think not many people realize that actually Hong Kong has about 70% of its territory is countryside areas. So and when we talk about sustainability, we usually focus on in the urban areas, the urbanized area, as we were born and raised in the urban city. But how about the 70% of rural that we have in Hong Kong? How big about their sustainabilities, and when all the existing policy or regulations or practice or even mindsets or resources, etc., are focused in the urban areas, we have to kind of redistribute some of our resources to look at rural areas too. So that's why we have this rural sustainability program held by Hong Kong U since 2013. And by the way, we just received the Sustainable Development Award, as mentioned by Gasing. And this project actually is 3 keywords, also cited by the Journal, which is the Rural-Urban Sustainability Agenda, Nature-Human Interactions, and also collaboration between private, public, academics, and also other stakeholders. And indeed, our exhibit, which we collaborate with the Unearth Artist Group, is actually part of our partners in this program too. And the whole program is supported by the HSBC, which is a private corporation, to support the whole program. And our idea is actually when we focus too much in the rural, urban areas, we forgot that in the rural areas there are lots of vibrant villages that once they were all self-sustaining. So when we try to look for new solutions for sustainability, we try to look for new creative methods. Why don't we look back at our histories and look back how the rural communities survived in the past? And the way that they can maintain the rural cultural landscape actually includes lots of indigenous knowledge. They have the geography principles that manage the natural environment to provide them sustainable resources, animals, food, etc., to make the village self-sustaining. But many of these villages were abandoned for decades. So that's why the program took a holistic approach with nature-based solutions to try to build up the capacity of the local villages and also citizens to continue the culture, indigenous culture, local culture about the human-nature relationship, to build up local economy, and also together co-manage the landscape and rebrand the rural areas, so that this program could conserve the cultural heritage, the tangible, intangible cultural heritage, as well as the nature-human relationship. And by looking at our history, looking back to the assets that passed down from our ancestors, it actually provides lots of solutions to our urban sustainability issues, for climate change, for education, for building a sustainable city or well-being, etc. So this program, we have spent 7 years of time in Laichiwadi's village to revital the whole landscape from an abandoned status to a vibrant status. And we instate the farmland, the woodland, the coastal area, the restoration of historic houses, the visual corridor of the landscape, as well as to build up the new social enterprise that based in rural areas and kind of renew the rural life base, and also to repopulate the village. And at the same time, we have lots of activities. This is one of the activities we collaborate with our Unearth Artist Group to bring in new ideas and to work with the villages to sustain and to inherit the nature and cultural heritage together. So the result of our program is to but before the project, actually rural has long been absent in the mainstream local discussion for city sustainable development. We only focus in the urban areas and forgot about the rural areas. But after the project, we built a new socio-economic model, and this hints a new path for the cities to foster rural sustainability in the metropolitan context. And also this conservation work of the rural cultural landscape is important for the city's resilience to the sustainability challenge brought by urbanization and also globalization. So I think one of the the very important thing of our program is to bring the topic of rural sustainability into wider public discussions, and also stricter institutional changes to the rural conservation policy. For example, in the 2017 policy address, it mentions about the efforts of war conservation works. And eventually in 2018, Countryside Conservation Office was set up, which is the first office set up especially to look at rural issues and rural sustainability, rural development and sustainability issues. And also set aside Countryside Conservation Funding Scheme that really support real actions. So our new interpretations of sustainability is actually urban-rural sustainability. Mm-hmm. We are not just talking about the urban areas. So we have to include our rural areas and the rural communities. Together, working with the urban citizens, I believe this is our new future to work and foster real sustainability for the city.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Anna. Yeah, going back to Tony's 3 cycles he mentioned earlier about sustainability involving 3 pillars, which are the environment, economy, and society. So Anna, for the Lychee War project, how have you guys managed to achieve the goals on these 3 aspects? Would you please elaborate?
Okay, so for environment, we, of course, we conserve the ecological values of the site. We did a surveys. We have lots of ecological works that to conserve the animals and plants, etc. That's the environment, and also the water, the forest, mm-hmm. the woodland, etc.
Yep.
And for the society, because the human nature relationships is very important. And indeed, many of the villagers, they left the village for decades. Mm-hmm. So one of the things that we have to do is to collaborate with local villages, and at the same time to repopulate the village, because those local villages who left, they left for reasons. They don't want to stay in the agricultural, very harsh lifestyles. Mm-hmm. But indeed, in the Hong Kong city area, a lot of young people, retired people, or a lot of people that love green life, and they love to be involved in the agricultural activities, and they are very creative to have their new ideas of new business. So that's why we kind of linked them together, to link the rural communities and the city urban communities together, to build up a new social economic model, and to bring in the new creative ideas, and at the same time using very basic nature-based solution to have a new way of agricultural activities, not the conventional agricultural practice, but a sustainable agriculture like agroforestry or organic farming or environmental friendly farming methods to at the same time conserve the environment, but build up a new economy. And so that we can build up the food security and food production rate in Hong Kong. So that's the 3 things that we try to do. Mm-hmm. And most importantly is actually the partnership and collaborations. We understand that just urban or just rural is not going to be sustainable. We need to build up a connection in between the 2 communities and 2 contexts, and also build up our mutual knowledge on each other, because for indigenous people, they know a lot about how to manage the natural environment, where they could get sustainable fish or plants, etc., food, etc. But urban citizens, they often don't understand where the food comes from and how harsh is it to produce the food. So we need to build up the knowledge on both sides, so that the real sustainability could be achieved.
Mm-hmm. Understood. Yeah. So concerning the economy, I noticed that you guys have the produce grown, agricultured in Lychee Walk for sale. So that were also captured in one of the On Earth Art Project exhibits, yeah, where we see the rice, the chili, etc. So how has it been running? How has the business been going, Anna? May I ask?
Oh yes, actually, it's an advertisement time for us. Very good, thank you, Carlson. Well, rather than the agricultural products like the chili, ginger, turmeric, rice, radish, etc., we actually have built a processing kitchen inside of God, because we understand that if we sell fresh vegetables, how much you could earn from the fresh vegetables, like $30 for 1 kilo of fresh vegetables. But if we have the processing, we kind of pickle them or make them into kind of sauce or other kind of processed products, the value is upgraded. So and we can sell it at a higher price. So this is also one of our efforts to trying to elevate the income for the people who are working at the rural sites, rural villages. So that's why we, other than the fresh products, we have a new brand called Local Kitchen. And I forgot to bring some of the samples, but if Carlson, you are interested, or any of you are interested, you can come to visit our Facebook page, Lychee Walk Farmers Market, and you'll see our products there sometimes too. And in coming few months, we will have the radish for the radish cake for Chinese New Year. So in case you love the radish, ginger, or turmeric, etc., yeah, feel free to contact us. So it's one of our way to connect the rural and urban.
Yeah, definitely. So how has this collaboration been going on with the On Earth Art Project, Anna and Rachel? How do you guys work together, and how did the project start? Rachel,
maybe I have some introduction first. Because one of the schemes that we have under the project is the co-creation schemes, and we want to bring in new ideas to the rural communities. And that's why we get to know to the On Earth Artist Group. They also fond of going into the rural site, the rural village, and to want to, because they are ceramic artists, and ceramics are, the materials is soil, is the earth actually, and the earth is the root of culture and our lives. So that's why that's how we were connected and work together. So actually we have worked together for more than 2 years already, I think, Rachel.
Yeah, 2 years.
Please correct me. More
2
than
years already.
2 years. Yeah.
So actually under Anna's Hong Kong Youth framework, we as a group of artists, so kind of a smaller sector in this issue. So we do also take care of those 3 things that you Gasing just mentioned, environment, economic, and social society, things like that. So let's say for the environment issue, we as an artist, we collect things that people didn't want, like I mentioned about the tiles, or even the branches, a lump of soil just next to my house, things like that. We think those unwanted things are all our good resources for our for our art inspiration, or even we turn some of them into small products. So besides Anna's product, just mentioned, those products, our group also created some small products, based on our idea, and they make use of the things around the village, like, tile, the roof tiles, and a little bit of the earth, the soil, and then what else? Sorry?
Glass, I remember.
Oh yeah, glass. Oh, but I'm not talking about the artworks I just mentioned, but we do have a line of products. So we call it handmade products, but I'm not going to talk about that too much. But anyway, we make use of the materials, the unwanted resources there. You know, they counted as rubbish, but we make use of the rubbish to turn them into something useful, and giving those materials new life. You know, something good for, you know, those things may be returned to the society. You know, let's say a small flower plot, you know, things like that. So. I just mentioned the things I mentioned took care of, you know, environmental issue and also economic issues. And then we do run a lot of workshops with outsider, with villagers. So this kind of interaction, I think that it helps, you know, the communication between people, whether it comes from the urban area or from the rural area or even the villages. So we are doing things like that. And we also invited people to visit the village, and then we will give them a guided tour to walk around the natural area. Actually, we rented a house there. We have a house, so to become our studio. We even bring some, but I'm not sure whether people would say anything about that. We do run a ceramic workshop there. A small pottery workshop, so that we can bring in something. Let's say we are as a bridge. We introduce rural good things to the outsider, to the urban people, and then urban people can come to visit. So we establish a studio there to become, you know, a bridge for all of us. So, yeah, I'm talking.
May I ask one silly question? Can the soil?
I'm talking too messy.
No. Can the soil in Lai Chu will be literally used for the ceramic products?
Yeah, I would say yes, but to some point we won't use that. We won't use the local soil for our creation, you know, to making my artwork. No, because those resources belongs to the villages. Without the permission, I won't use, you know, a lot. But of course, I just come across a little bit. I will make use of that. So let's say a small product I can introduce it to you is I made a lot of little, you know, rice that we eat, but I use clay to make them. So I mix them with commercial clay and then a little bit of raw clay to become a piece of little work. So that's, I think, though it's a very small one, but I think these small pieces adding together will become a big message for all of us, for all the people to, you know, at least to pay attention to, why people are doing things like this, so silly things. But then I think all these silly things adding up together can make some bigger voice, and then can inspire people in a way.
Yeah, so one very strong message this year webinars, I mean, Venice Biennale wants to bring to all of you is that the collaboration between the different expertise. So for the audience, what you have just heard is Rachel, who is an artist and has nothing to do with architecture and not about like Hong Kong Institute of Architects. So this is one very special arrangement that we have made today. And together we have academia, we have Vincci, we have Ivan, we have Anna, and of course practitioners like Cheung and Tony. Yeah, so I hope that you guys appreciate the very special arrangement or conflict or disputes that we created this year. But back to the question, on the interpretation, the new definitions for sustainability. So Anna mentioned about the focus should be paid to the rural sustainability, while Tony mentioned about how nature and humans should work together, how the two be embraced in different degrees to enhance our living. So for Cheung and Ivan and Vincci, do you have any new definitions that you want to contribute on the term sustainability?
I mean, I'd just like to add what we've just heard is, I mean, the relationship between the urban and rural is actually vital. I think right now with our borders closed, virtually closed, the appreciation of what we have is really important. And I think it's, and I think people will appreciate it more and are interested. And I think people are now discovering what's next door, what's a couple of miles up into the new territory. So it's absolutely fantastic. Sounds absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, instead of flying overseas, we do have that in Hong Kong, right?
That's right. And I think people are more interested, and also very interested about things which are made in Hong Kong, things that are grown in Hong Kong. They like the fact they know where it's come from. They like to know and then with that comes knowledge and appreciation. As you say, Rachel Anna, if you understand it, you appreciate it more.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Sean. And Ivan, do you have anything to add?
I mean, not really. I mean, this has been really great and informative discussion by everyone. I think maybe one thing I can add is kind of as a landscape architect looking at cities, and we're of course very interested in rural areas, is just the kind of role of those other units and people we work with, the role of government, the role of developers to also hold to sustainable goals. It's worthless to talk about green roofs and sort of green technology if the development itself is unnecessary, right? If the development itself is extraneous to the needs of a society. So I think we need to, things like density, things like infrastructure can help us achieve more sustainable environments in total, including rural areas, by taking pressure off of those areas for development, by redistributing funds in ways that are more collective. That's how I see it, at least as a landscape architect.
Thanks, Ivan.
Can I add something as well?
Yep, sure, go ahead.
I think perhaps it's not really a new interpretation, perhaps it's always there, but I find that in recent years, when we talk about sustainability, I feel like there's more emphasis on people, on community, and because I guess they also play a great part in the living, and so how can we encourage or raise the awareness of sustainability in people is important. And when Anna, you're sharing the Lai Ziwo project, I also can imagine how the villagers, the people living there, they have a lot of knowledge, and how the sustainable life can continue becomes important, and there must be a lot of wisdoms that are being developed locally, and also perhaps heritage, something that how we respect and understand things that perhaps have been developed from early on, become part of the local tradition, local wisdom, and how that can continue to become sustainable ways of living.
Yeah, good. Thanks very much for your message, Vincci. Any last words? Yeah, we also welcome questions from the audience, but unfortunately we haven't got any yet. Yeah, so without further ado, maybe we can just join today's webinar here. And thanks very much for your contribution and your inspiring ideas. And we look forward to the next webinar. Oh yeah, advertising time besides the Lai Ziwo local farm produce. Well, we do have our online exhibition set up already. Yes, you can always go online to check out the presentation as well as the videos even for the exhibit that have been earlier placed at L'Hotel Lena. And besides, we are actually looking forward to the real exhibition that is to be held in City Gallery in Central. Yeah, of course, for further details, please stay tuned. Yeah, so I guess this is the last webinar for this year. So take this chance to wish all of you a healthy and wealthy and a happy new year and a great year of 2021. Yeah, and hopefully we can see the exhibits besides in Hong Kong also in Venice, Italy. Yeah. Okay, bye-bye. Thank you so much.
Happy New Year.
Bye.
Happy New Year. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.